Our class on February 27th was our long class where we went to Luther and looked at the harpsichord and the organ. And it was also a lecture on OVPP, which evidently stands for one voice per part, which I didn't know before this class. So I thought this lecture was fine. I'd never really heard of the concept of one voice per part, and it was interesting listening to the different tracks and trying to decipher how many voices were playing or singing each part and whether it was OVPP or not. And I also love the King Singers video from YouTube that the professor showed. It was just fun to watch, and they're just so talented that it's always entertaining. Whatever they sing, it's just always great. I don't really have tons to say about that lecture, so I'm just going to on to the meeting with Amy Porter in Luther when we looked at the two instruments. So I thought this was a great idea. However, I thought that it was just a little bit too long. It was a whole double, like two whole class worth of time, just extra that I mean, I don't think it needed to go for quite that long. But anyways, I had never played on a harpsichord before, so I had only ever like played with the settings on like electric pianos and stuff, and so it was cool to actually hear a real one and see how different they are, and the touch is so different, which is what's so weird to me as a piano player is just, I mean, how that must feel playing on a piano that, that the touch is just very different. The organ was really cool too, especially because it was so intricate, just like seeing how it all fit together. And like I remember at one point, Amy saying that there was one part that she couldn't even get to. She couldn't figure out how it would, how it all went together exactly. And it was also super like compact, and it was astounding how expensive it is too. But I can see why it is though, because it's a fascinating instrument. I will say though that my only criticism for this was that I just felt that the professor kind of took the reins a little bit, and Amy didn't really have a chance to talk very much. She started out talking, but um, I think that the professor just kind of like took over, and then towards the end, it was just kind of going on and on. And even as classes were walking in, we were still just like continuing to talk about stuff and whatever. And so yeah, that was my only criticism on that. But as far as the cone of learning and relating it to that goes, the lecture, just as it says, I really only remembered about 20 to 30%. I actually had to look up my notes exactly what OVPP even meant. After a while, I lost it. But yet, doing the real thing, hands-on at Luther, I still remember a lot of what was said about them. And well, at least I remember, the whole how they felt and how they looked, and blowing into the piece of the instrument and the organ and stuff like that. And so it just goes to show that doing exactly the exact real thing really sticks in your mind. So overall, I thought that this was great. It was cool to see these new instruments. As an instrumentalist, it's always, especially keyboard instruments. Not everyone probably found it as cool as I did because not everyone plays keyboard instruments, but I thought it was cool.